who's got a tremendous background. I had no idea the extent
with blue
of
chip
his
companies.
Absolutely. He was with
Absolutely.
the Des Moines Register for years, and as the circulation manager there in Duluth, Minnesota. He's been in major markets like Des Moines as well as relatively small markets.
Correct.
Right.
But what he has done for us is to leverage our newspapers, which are currently being sold in grocery stores, drugstores, convenience stores.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we're doing sampling, and we're taking neighborhoods that we have little circulation. I mean, we're not everywhere. You know,
Right.
dominantly, we're 51% of our circulation is in Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach proper. Right.
Proper.
Right.
But we're both north and south
Sure.
and west.
Sure. Sure.
And even east a little bit.
Right
for
here in
about-
Socastee, a very
Correct.
large presence.
Correct.
As you see on the masthead, Garden City, Murrells Inlet, Myrtle Beach, Socastee, and Surfside Beach.
We specialize in these areas.
Right.
And we provide the local news for all these areas.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're creating an additional circulation of readership by going where we haven't gone before.
Right.
And so we are growing in that.
I have
that
been
venue.
fascinated to see the number of folks that have turned to it in a positive sense and said, yes, we want it there. A lot of folks say, you know, I haven't seen the Herald before, or I've only seen it, I've just never bought it. And that's important as it relates to knowing that it's available and that folks can gravitate towards it. I'm glad you shared that.
Alan was recently in a convenience store.
Right.
And as he was waiting to see the manager, he had copies of the paper with him.
Right.
And a customer of the convenience store walked up and said, "Oh, what's that?" "The Herald, I've seen it." And Alan said, "Well, have you ever read it?" He said, "No." There are people that do not read our paper.
Right. Right.
And what we're trying to do currently is to reach out and promote our publication to these people.
Oh, yeah, very definitely. Well, obviously, this show's been sponsored by the Herald for a year now. It's our vehicle using what I oftentimes consider, having been in this broadcast industry for more than a decade, as a real powerful vehicle. As we saw this weekend, the number of folks that tuned into the Super Bowl for that, the number of people nationwide, as well as here in the market area. There's a lot of folks broadcast television, sight, sound, and motion, but it doesn't take anything away from the thrill of a newspaper being able to hold it and touch it and feel it and rip it out and mail it to friends and family, as well as using the website, myrtlebeachherald.com, going to the website and being able to link stories off to folks. But obviously the thrill here, the Herald's been sponsoring this show, a great community vehicle show. As you know, as we said just yesterday, a professor from Coastal Carolina University, tomorrow an author of a book, A Profit Building. On Friday, obviously the head of the Horry Georgetown Technical College Foundation. On Monday, a gentleman who sells caskets in the funeral home industry. As you know, last week we had tremendous guest, Gwen Swenson. So the Herald is reaching out to help underwrite and sponsor a show that's surely dealing with issues that are important to the community.
Actually, a reader can qualify this by reading just one issue at a time.
Mm-hmm.
We probably break more new news
Oh, yeah.
than any other publication at any time.
Look at this story, the headline story in Thursdays, and I say last week, it's really not. As you highlight in a weekly, it's a lot of news that is in there, and folks can take the time. That's the great thing about profiles, whether it's the Veteran of the Week, the Public Safety Profile, the Teammates of the Week, the Public Servant of the Week. There's no other paper, not only in this area, but in the state, in the Carolinas, that has more profiles of pertinent and important people here in the area. But when you look at this story, the non-English speaking school population soaring. At the beginning of last school year, 1,000 non-English speakers. The beginning of this year, 2,000. Now the impact that has on Horry County education and having to have bilingual teachers as well as bilingual assistants really puts a financial pressure on. Not that it's discouraged, but it just highlights the financial pressures that the Horry County school districts and education have to go through to make sure that their educators, their teachers, can communicate with their students. It's a big deal. Where have you seen this story? Nowhere else except in the Herald.
But you see, you hit it, because we are a true local community paper. And what is a composite? What makes up a community paper? It's very simple. It tells everything happening in one day with a week's worth of news.
Right.
And we have photos of the local people.
Right.
We have events. We cover sports. You know, anything that will interest anyone in this community, it's a must read.
Right, right.
Because if you're ignorant on what's happening in your own backyard, we have a problem. And you know, the newspaper industry today is having situations like any other industry. But a true community newspaper is what a community is all about. And we are like the quiet giant that has been waking up for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And now we're ready like the lion to roar.
Right.
Because we have the greatest publication, I think we do. And we have an audience. And I really like that there are a few people that know nothing about us. And we are taking steps to tell them our story.
More than a year now as the largest paid weekly newspaper, community newspaper in the area, markedly larger. And obviously, there are other publications that launch. We've seen some free publications recently take off in the community, both on a weekly basis. What are your thoughts about free publication? Again, not to downgrade anyone. Obviously, having worked in the daily newspaper business forever, you're still a fan of daily news.
I've worked in free publications.
Right.
And I understand them. Our publication is invited into the household. It's requested. And that's the difference. Because when you have a quality product invited into your home, it's as good as direct mail, except there's too much direct mail. And it becomes confusing. But when our folks are having their morning coffee or their evening tea or whatever it is, they can read the Herald.
They can spend the time. They're much like the North Myrtle Beach Times or the Ori Independent or the Coastal Observer. They're invited into the home. That's exactly right. The Herald in that same
We're all invited into the home, but it's what's the content of the paper? I mean, is it something I'm going to enjoy? Is it mostly community? Or is it mostly national, international? Is it statewide? Is it global?
Good for
Is there a lot of negative things happening?
Right.
We're like a friendly newspaper. We love to report good news. We love it. But there has to be good news for us to report.
Right.
And if there's something that the consumer or the reader has to know about, it might be negative, we will report the facts. And it's this knowledge that separates us.
Right.
It's the reporting and the way we do report.
Sure. You highlighted at some point, Bob, I believe, advertising being the necessary vehicle to help support, whether it's this TV station, Fox TV, WBTW, WPD, or, of course, newspapers, whether it's the Sun News, the Ori Independent, or, of course, the Myrtle Beach Herald. Advertising has to be a vehicle. You know, when my daughter asked that question, what is advertising? You know, that's an important thing. Why do we have that?
Well, let me say one thing. I like all publications.
Right.
All these publications are terrific. Of course, I'm prejudiced with ours. But our advertising department, we have sales representatives, and they're really not a representative. They are a media consultant. Because when you take a business, we love to consult to that business. We like to identify what is your business. Tell us about it. What have you done? What haven't you done? What have you tried? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And they need a proper mixture of direct mail, print, electronic, whether it's radio or cable.
Sure.
They need a little bit of everything. The coupon books, everything. We just want our fair share. We have a small circulation. We do. I mean, we print and distribute 7,000 newspapers every week.
Right.
But of those 7,000, we have virtually no waste because every publication is read. And our demographic profile, because we're so concentrated and focused and targeted, it's a high percentage of readership that are qualified to make a purchase with all the products and services that are available.
Those are great words, Bob. We just got a couple minutes. What about the future of the Herald? What do you see over the next, of course, you've been here since September, over the next 12 months, over the next 5 years? What do you project?
I project that we will become larger, but never too big, okay? And that we will become a twice daily, or twice weekly, excuse me.
Wow, yeah,
twice
that's
weekly.
A big deal, Bob, yeah.
Because twice weekly, we can do so much for the community. and put something back into the community. And there is one thing that we're putting back into the business community. Do you know that we have not increased our advertising rates in 2 years? And we made a decision in 2008 because of the economics and the trends. We're putting something back with these businesses.
That's tremendous, absolutely.
So between advertiser friendly and reader friendly, we're doing our best. And we're always available to consult. We will create ad campaigns. We will do strategic consulting with no obligation.
If a viewer wants to learn more about the Myrtle Beach Herald, what's the best phone number to call? Is it the 626-3131? Is that the best number?
That's it.
And the website?
And the website.
MyrtleBeachHerald.com.
MyrtleBeachHerald.com.
Okay, great.
In fact, if you look at MyrtleBeachHerald.com, talking about the community, we have a little button you press, you click on, it's called Job Seekers.
Right.
If anyone out there is looking for a job, all you got to do is fill out the form, send it in to us, and at no charge, we will publish it in the Herald, and it's on the internet.
And on the website at no charge.
No charge.
For folks who are looking for a job. That's tremendous. Well, obviously, the website's getting a ton of traffic, more than 1 million hits there in just a very short amount of time. And
we have a lot of page views, a lot of viewers, a lot of hits.
Markedly year-to-year growth. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm sorry we've run out of time, Bob. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Bob Neiman, the advertising director of the Myrtle Beach Herald, our show sponsor. Coming up next. I sat here trying to think of a good way to wrap. I always think of my favorite shampoo, Prel. This is a little different. It's a letter off. It's PROW. People, readers, advertisers, and local. That's what it's all about. It's local news. You heard Bob talk about it. The Myrtle Beach Herald's doing it every day. Go online, myrtlebeachherald.com, or pick up the phone, 843-626-3131. That's PROW. People, readers, advertisers, and local news.